Hello, today I'm reading from Palante. It's from the newspaper of the Young Lords of New York, dated May 8th, 1970, and the article is called Cambodia. The condition within a country and how that country deals with its internal situation, domestic policy, is always reflected in the behavior of that country in terms of its dealings with other nations' foreign policy. The United States is a country that was built on the mass murder of the American Indians, genocide, and the enslavement of millions of black people that were ripped off from Africa in order to establish a capitalist economy which is based on making lots of money, profit. The U.S. has part of its history a domestic policy of racism, genocide, oppression, and greed. These policies are carried over in its dealings with other nations. Imperialism. In 1961, when the U.S. sent military advisors to South Vietnam, anyone could have expected the possibility that the U.S. would commit the America KKKN people to a war that would cost millions of lives, both Vietnamese and American. The situation in Indochina has grown since '61 into a war that involves 3 Asian nations other than Vietnam, and the prospects are for an even wider extension of the situation. Indochina and Puerto Rico. The reason for this is that the U.S. wants to establish a permanent, stable power base in Indochina. This basic imperialist perspective will always lead the U.S. to use any means necessary in order to gain its power bases all over the world. We as Puerto Ricans know this by examining U.S. history in terms of our own island. When the U.S. wanted to establish a power base in the Caribbean, they faked a war with Spain, who at the time held Puerto Rico as a colony. The U.S. then took over our island, which has never enjoyed freedom as a nation, and used up our fertile land to establish military bases that they would use to oppress the people of the Caribbean. We saw what a power base means to the U.S. in 1965 when American troops were mobilized on our island and sent to Santo Domingo to suppress the struggle of our brothers and sisters for liberation. The result of that invasion was the death of 3,000 people. We see every day what a power base means to the U.S. because we know that the Puerto Rican people starve while our island's riches are exported to the U.S. In Indochina, the situation is heading in the same direction. The U.S. went to Vietnam to establish a power base, and the fact that millions of people are dying means nothing to the U.S. It is a natural thing for America to allow people to die for its greed. For America, money and power are the only important things. Asians today, Puerto Ricans tomorrow, U.S. racism. Now the Vietnam War has reached into Laos, Thailand, and Cambodia, 3 nations that had wanted to remain neutral in terms of the Vietnam conflict. Cambodia is a perfect example of the mad tactics used by the imperialists to gain power, not fight communism, which is what the U.S. tells us. In the Soviet sphere of influence, the U.S. fights communism with the radio show Radio Free Europe, not with soldiers and napalm and coup d'etat overthrow of unfriendly governments. This is because the power base there is already in the hands of the imperialist Russia, and also because the U.S. is a racist country that believes that it can pull all kinds of shit on third world people. In Cambodia, the ex-ruler Prince Sihanouk, sorry if I said that wrong, who was supported by most of the people of Cambodia, was overthrown by a small group backed by America. The new ruler of Cambodia is more pro-West friendly than anything else. More than likely, he is a puppet of the U.S., like Thu in South Vietnam or Fair in Puerto Rico. I'm probably saying these names wrong. Sorry about that. This monster has learned to use U.S. tactics in order to maintain his power. Power he gained illegally and against the wishes of the Cambodian people. He has decided, or the U.S. has decided for him, that in order to stay in power, he must slaughter the innocent Vietnamese people that reside in Cambodia. Lon Nol, the puppet put in Sihanouk's place, listened to Nixon as they slept together the night before the 2 lovers overthrew Sihanouk. Nixon told Tho that night that the best way to keep himself in power would be to do what no dick had done: blame a national minority for the problems you yourself put on the people and kill off large numbers of them. Genocide. This technique is called divide and conquer, is used in America between blacks and Puerto Ricans, non-whites, and poor whites. I don't know about y'all, but I never learned about any of this in my history class, and this was recent history because I was in high school in the 80s. This was in the 70s. This was 10 years earlier. Anyway, Lon Nol had ordered his soldiers to destroy the homes of Vietnamese people and has killed them in cold blood. The rivers of Cambodia carry the bodies of dead Vietnamese, obviously killed defenselessly, because while they float by, their hands are seen tied behind their backs. But it's not going to be easy for the US, Lon Nol, Thu, or anyone else to take over the countries of the Asian people. We know that Vietnam won't let them. They've been fighting for over 8 years. In Cambodia, Laos, and Thailand, the people have risen to fight the real enemy, US imperialism and all its puppets. They have seen, like the other people all over the world, that Pepsi Cola, Rockefeller, United Fruit Company, etc. do not belong in their countries, taking their resources to make a few people in the US rich. In Puerto Rico, Latin America, and anywhere in the US has robbed, killed, and enslaved people, there are many who are saying, enough, basta ya. The Cambodian people will see who the real enemy is and unite with their brothers and sisters to eliminate the cancer of American imperialism. The Young Lords organization supports the Asian people in their struggle against the American imperialism. The YLO stands as one with the National Liberation Front of Vietnam and the Provisional Revolutionary Government of South Vietnam, who have kicked Norteamericano ass. We are also one with the Pathet Lao and Red Army of Laos and Cambodia, who are kicking Norteamericano ass. We pledge ourselves to aiding our brothers and sisters by kicking ass here. Amen. U.S. out of Southeast Asia, U.S. out of Puerto Rico, U.S. out. Iris Benitez, Education Lieutenant, Young Lords Organization, New York Chapter. One more thing they added at the last minute was, as Palante went to press, Nixon announced that he sent American imperialist troops into Cambodia. This slap in our faces should show us where this country is at. On the one hand, the gringos claim they want peace in Southeast Asia. On the other hand, they step up the war that they started by sending troops, mostly Puerto Ricans and black, to die in Cambodia. Right on, America. See you on the next one.